Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast, which features interviews with inspiring women entrepreneurs from around the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, without further ado, I'll hand you over to your host, Holly Wharton.
Hello and welcome to the Ready to Bloom podcast, episode 128. This is your host, Holly Wharton. I'm here with today's special guest, Amy Humphries. Amy is an ex-professional sailor turned online marketing strategist who helps healers, coaches, and consultants to stop tiptoeing around their zone of genius so they can lead the pack and make bank online. Now, her specialty is in helping women entrepreneurs to create processes that do the selling for them, establishing their authority and helping them create regular five-figure months, which is what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So welcome, Amy.
Hi, Holly. How you doing?
Great. So excited to be talking with you today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about your background and your business journey and how you got to where you are today? Because I think you've got a very interesting kind of change of paths throughout your life.
I know. Yeah, sure. I mean, I was about 3 years ago a professional sailor. I was a chief officer on private sailing and racing yachts. And, you know, I was kind of all over the place and running kind of high net worth individuals' boats and looking after them on their holidays and stuff. And I just got to a point that I think, like a lot of us with whatever career we're in, you might well go up the ladder, but it might not be the right ladder, you know? So I had, it was interesting. In my actual job before, there was the tipping point for me that got me to leave was there was an accident on board. Mm-hmm. And it was my first experience of having shock and trauma, mm-hmm. which, you know, closely ties into what you do, I know. And I didn't know it at the time. I just sort of thought that wasn't right. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of ate away at me for a while until I finally left my job and came back to the UK. And that's when it kind of hit me and this wave of anxiety sort of came about. So my business had a really weird start to it in that I had no intention of coming into this industry, but anxiety brought me there because I sought out the help of somebody who just introduced herself to me in a very elegant manner when we were at some sort of an event. Turned out that she was an NLP practitioner. I went to see her, and I always say to my clients that 90 minutes changed the course of my life. So that's how I got started. I was like, wow, what was this? I want to know more, and I want to do that as well with people.
Wow, excellent. And before your sailing career, you also had a background in accounting and finance?
Yes, you can believe it. Yes, my degree is in accounting and finance. I then went into a corporate job in a pharmaceutical company in the finance sort of track. It was funny because, you know, you all have those screensavers on your computer, and mine was a sailing yacht. I'd never done any sailing before, but I just had this real call to get the hell out of there and learn that. So yeah, I worked my way up from being like just like a deckhand, and then, you know, jumping through all the hoops to end up as a chief officer.
That is really, really amazing. I love how you've kind of switched from the office world to the ocean world to the business world.
You know, I think like a lot of people had that always knowing I was not made to be in an office, not made to do something quite technical or, you know, structured, but just, I was like, that didn't make any sense to me, you know?
I love that. So what happened? You had this 90-minute session that changed your life. How did you go from that into building the business that you've got today?
Yeah, I mean, so that was an experience of how we can shift our beliefs very quickly. Mm-hmm. And I went in, you know, all kind of bent out of shape to coming out and going, I don't feel worried about that anymore, or lots of other things. And so I started training as an NLP practitioner. I then went into hypnotherapy, studied life coaching, more NLP, and then kind of other energy therapies. It's kind of like a gateway drug, isn't it? You go into all the other different things. Yeah, because it's just so fascinating. And so I initially started working with people who were in their career transition, who were trying to get out of their kind of corporate job. But it always kind of quickly transitioned into working behind the scenes with other people's businesses because I was quite sort of techie. Mm-hmm. I used to work do all of the audio visual stuff on the yacht. So I used to do all the Wi-Fi system and the videos and all that stuff. So I started working behind the scenes on other people's businesses and got to learn strategy and structure and systems and stuff like that behind the scenes, and then quickly realized that I wanted to go out in front for myself at one point.
Excellent. So you had a real kind of platform for learning all the things that you needed to build your business around this.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I came at it from two angles. I mean, I was doing the coaching on one side, but to keep, money coming in because it wasn't so consistent in the beginning, then I was doing the sort of stuff in the back end with other people. So it's now come together in quite a harmonious mixture, but it certainly wasn't always that way.
Excellent. And so how did you come to specialize in helping people find the path to creating 5-figure months on a regular basis?
By a lot of trial and error, Holly. I think we're told a lot of very well-meaning information, like you need to get set up, you need the website, and you need the to be posting on social media, and you need to get busy blogging and get the word out there, and all of that stuff is great and helpful. But working behind the scenes of so many other sort of more established entrepreneurs before I got into it, I started to notice some real common threads. Was that it wasn't necessarily those things. It was helping them to get paid, right, and get higher priced or better clients and more consistent client influx in. It was about making clear offers and more regularly making offers. And so when I started coming into being a coach myself, I'd had my website set up, like I think we're all told. I know I had the ebook on available, and I was blogging and all that stuff. And I just found it to be a very slow road. And then I started to notice I had a little bit of an internal conflict around going in lots of Facebook groups and stuff like that. I had to sort of quite sit back and go, have I got like just a block around this? Or, is it kind of more of an intuitive hit that maybe that's just not how I want to do things? So I decided to try another route and just go directly to a faster way of getting in front of people, but also so you can have that deeper level conversation. Rather than kind of dancing around the outskirts, right? So what I did was I immediately went into using webinars and anything that was live, something that you could really create that connection quicker. So challenges worked really well for me. Video trainings, webinars, teleclasses, anything like that worked really well. And then pairing that with Facebook ads allowed me to build my list quickly and continue to make offers directly to people. And it was just so quick and easy. Well, it's obviously everything has its sort of learning cycle, right? But you build on it, you get better at each part of the system, and then it starts to work kind of automatically by itself.
Excellent. Yeah. So would you say that's your zone of genius now, helping people to create 5-figure months?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and the first key to all of that is your message, is really helping you to identify what you're really here to do. To cut away from all the kind of distraction and the things that we think we maybe should be doing and come back to center and drive strong from that point. Definitely.
Excellent. All right. So that leads me into the next question. What are your top tips on how people can hotwire their business to create these 5-figure months? Because I know you've been doing a lot of kind of webinars and things around this lately. So I'd like to just get some of your top tips here for our listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah. The first tip that I have is that you've got to operate from a place of total integrity, right? This means first and foremost hiring yourself, I believe, because we all have our expertise in what we can help others to do, and it's just really easy to forget to use it on ourselves. So if you're a confidence coach, sit yourself down, take yourself out for coffee and hire yourself and have a look at those things. And it's also just about being really using vulnerability and being quite honest and knowing that people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And so coming from that place first and foremost, and knowing that you are enough right now. You don't need to be selling something that's 2 steps ahead of where you are in order to be attractive to people. I mean, I really got things moving when I was just selling get clear, right? As opposed to I'll help you make consistent 5-figure months. So you can sell at any point. So certainly my first point is you are enough right now and you have everything that you need. So just get really centered into who you are right now and just get that message really clear, which moves me on to the second point, which is to hang your hat on something. And so what I mean by that is, have you ever heard of the author John Gray, who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus?
Yep.
Yeah, so he was at an event that I was at a couple of years ago, and obviously he's now known as an international relationship expert, but he said something that really struck me, which was that he was never given an official title of relationship expert, right? He just said, I think I know enough about this. Like, I've seen enough patterns. I'm going to hang my hat here And that's what he did. And then he wrote the book, and that's when it all kind of took off. And I think that when you hang your hat on something, even you don't worry about it being the thing you'll forever and ever do, but one thing in particular allows you the bandwidth to go deeper, to then have that level of mastery that we all want.
I think that's such an important thing, because I think that's something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, because your hat doesn't have to stay there forever. You can move your hat somewhere else. But I think so many people are so afraid to get locked into this thing, and so they stand for nothing because they're afraid to stand for something.
Right. I know. Yeah. I mean, I had that trouble as well, for sure. But the funny thing is that you'll find, this goes along with messaging, when you dig down into one thing, you usually find the bedrock in that thing. And that pretty much always connects with your core, message or purpose anyway. So all roads kind of lead to Rome, but you're not going to find Rome if you don't pick a damn path,
So how do you recommend that people find the place to hang their hat? What path to walk on? Whatever metaphor you want to use.
Yeah.
How do you figure out which one to go on? Because I think so many women entrepreneurs in particular are multi-passionate. So it's like they love all these different aspects of the thing they do, but they also love all this other stuff as well. And they could there are so many paths, and they could go down any one of them. So how do you find one and pick it and just stick with it for a while?
It's a great question. I think that, it almost ties in as well with when you shift from one direction to another, and you can think, well, how did I end up here? It's to remember that the things that you've been up to in your life are not random. Mm-hmm. Your passions are not random. The things you're interested in, the things that piss you off are not random. And that's usually a really good place to start with. I often find, not in a ranty way, but ask yourself, what do you notice constantly around you that other people probably just don't? So, like if you're in a restaurant, some people are like, they haven't laid this table properly. Yeah. Others would never even notice. So those things are really important. And I was one of those types who was always asking, there's got to be more to this, and kind of maybe a little bit too out there thinking of, universes and unicorns and stuff. But those things are not random. That's my first point. So I think look backwards and connect the dots of all the kind of heightened experiences you've had, the great and the ones that maybe you might categorize as not being so great, because they have powerful lessons in them. And I think those are usually really good pointers into where maybe is a good point for you to go.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Excellent tips.
So after you give yourself, it's quite a gift, I think, to hang your hat and to just allow yourself to settle in sort of something that is of interest, because more importantly, not so that is about that marketing angle of being really clear, but it's about giving yourself the bandwidth to go a bit deeper into something, to then at least know if that's the path for you, so you can either go more into mastery in that level or close the door behind you and move on. So when you have got something that, you are really good at doing, an example of mine is one of my clients who was doing energy work, who, it could be very broad, couldn't it? Because you can use it with everything.
Exactly.
But her personal path was that she had a horrible traumatic accident at one point. And then she started finding that a lot of people who were being drawn towards her had also had very similar experiences, a specific, very traumatic experience like bereavement or something like that. And so she hung her hat on that area, and then, all of a sudden she's getting the exact clients that she wants, and she's, it's all just kicking off for her. So yeah, it's about connecting those dots. So the piece after that, when you've got a clear idea of what you're up to, is to uncross your fingers. And what I mean by that is that kind of building a website and then, okay, great, the website's up, now where's the client? It's really worrying, isn't it? It fills you with a lot of dread, and ultimately what's really upsetting about that, I think, is when you start to doubt yourself as to whether you've got the smarts or the ability to make this business happen. And the reality of it is that it's not anything to do with your business or your abilities. It's simply that there's just a giant sort of step missing in the strategy. And so what I mean by uncross your fingers is to create a sales funnel, which is a simple process that allows somebody who's never met you before to kind of slowly come towards you, get nurtured and given information to educate and inspire, what have you, so that they're more likely to become a client. And so sales funnels is one of my favorite things to talk about, as you can guess, because it really just does work. And then from that point, when you've got something set up, so just to expand on a sales funnel, I mean, a classic one could be like you have a great training on your website, Holly, that people can sign up to get hold of, which directly connects with what you do, right?
Exactly.
So what happens when they sign up for that ebook?
Well, I have just completely redone all of that. So that's an excellent question. Yeah, no, I just recently switched from MailChimp to ConvertKit. So I've been like playing around with all my new kind of mailing functions. But yes, so now people do go into a stream of emails that are kind of a mix of content and invitations to either sign up for a free pricing call with me, or we play around with muscle testing on prices, or content, and then sales conversation around, discovery call kind of thing. And so there is a very clear process that people go through now. It was not always that way, however.
It never is it? I know. It only comes from sitting down and finally having some space
exactly
to think, what am I doing? Yeah, but isn't that great? So you've got this process that doesn't just leave them hanging on the email list, and now that they can get some more information, but you mentioned you can come at people from slightly different angles. So they might not necessarily be that have a problem at this point with, say, their pricing conversation, but it might be more about just, can I raise my rates, or another angle of the issue, right? Yeah? Cool. So the sales funnel really helps to do that, and just to take care of people so that you're not doing the same thing over and over again. You can have some processes set up. But the thing that really hotwires your business to the 5-figure months, as I mentioned earlier, is effectively, if you think of what is your website for? What is the opt-in for? Obviously, it's to build your email list so you can have that relationship. But deeper than that, it's about effectively, we really, we want to meet you in person. That would probably be the best way to get a client. So we want to kind of shortcut that process as much as possible. And so to simulate a live environment as much as possible, I found to be the fastest way to build your list and to have a shorter sort of sales cycle. So that's where webinars come into play. And or if a webinar is a little bit too much kind of tech at this point, things like an audio series can be fantastic. So they can hear your voice, but they really feel your energy.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? We're going to get on the phone with somebody maybe to talk about our deepest dreams and desires. We want to know you before we sort of do that. So audios have been fantastic. Live challenges can be really, really effective. They force you to kind of do something consistently, right? They get you out of your comfort zone, but they can be great for building clients. So webinars I found to be fantastic because they shortcut that process, and you can deliver great value in a short period of time, and an offer at the end of it, and then you can kick off with your email sequence that can close that loop and invite people to take it the next step, which is joining you on the phone.
I think that is such great advice, and I've done so many webinars in the past, and then I kind of went through a lull of not doing them. Now, what is your feeling on webinars these days? Because I think the whole webinar arena has changed a lot. It used to be really easy to get people on webinars, easy to get people to show up live, and now people are experiencing a bit more challenges to actually getting people to show up on live. So what are your feelings about webinars now?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's yes, I mean, I've certainly experienced all of those things, that around about 30% of people will watch it live when you have it. And so there's that big gap between when you're advertising it and when you're actually doing it. I recommend advertising for around about 2 weeks, probably, before you have it, so you can get the maximum amount of people on it. But in between that period of time, you want to be reminding them of the benefits of getting on that thing live. So having some kind of a stick strategy to help them come, and maybe a special offer or a free session or something like that maybe can help to get them there live. And then I think, you end up with that maybe 30% of people might watch the replay. So what I have been doing is actually trying, using evergreen webinars so that you can, people are more likely to watch it live if the time matches up with what they can make. Does that make sense?
Yep.
But there's a lot to be said for, diving into that question a little bit deeper, in that why is it that people don't come maybe to live webinars? Maybe because of the timing of it. Maybe because they've completely forgot about it. So there's not enough. I think a lot of people don't remind people enough, especially on the day of the thing. You probably want to be sending out at least 3 emails on the day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Of like, hey, are you coming? Oh, we're starting in an hour, and hey, we're live in an hour, or we're live now, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about reminding them that of the value of it, or indeed, it might be a little bit, quite a lot of work, but it certainly was worth it during a few launch periods of mine, where it was creating little bite-sized videos that actually went out in between them signing up and the live webinar to keep them interested and to whet the appetite for the live thing.
Excellent. Yeah, great tip.
So it's quite a lot. So there was my really those 5 tips is to come from that place of integrity. You are enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know enough. Nothing from your past is wasted. It can all be repurposed, you know, to make your new approach really unique, you know. Hang your hat on something so you can have a bit of bandwidth to go deeper into something. Uncross your fingers. It's not enough these days to just hope that the website is going to do the work, but you can completely make this system so much easier by having a sales funnel in place, and then use webinars or things that are as live as possible to help close that gap so that people can effectively get a live experience of you. And then the 5th tip is to invest in mentoring, because that was the huge shift for me, was hiring mentoring in many areas of your life. One of the biggest shifts I had was hiring a mindset mentor with energy work like you do. And that was one of the things that allowed any other strategic training to actually, you know, take hold.
Yes. Yes. I think that is so important. I recently did a solo podcast episode on how to recover your money on wasted online courses and mentoring, where you felt like maybe you didn't get anything out of it. But if you change your mindset now, you can kind of go back and revisit all of your notes from the online course or the mentoring or whatever, and you can still get that value because you've now shifted your mindset. So I think very, very important.
Oh, it's so valuable as well. And especially with what you do, it's so quick. You can turn everything around.
Yes.
And the difference in from one day to another, let's say somebody is, this was certainly my situation, was like concerned, can I charge that or whatever? Have a conversation with somebody like you and help to clear out those things, or and then the next day you can make that sale for a much higher price. You know, the difference is enormous, and it just came from a shift inside your head, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's the easiest thing to do if you've got the right technique, and then all you have to do is take action, and taking action is easier once you've got the right mindset.
Right. It's funny, isn't it? It's a bit of a merry-go-round, because in the beginning you kind of like, you just kind of need to know what to do. And then it's like, well, can I do it? So you need to come back to mindset. And then it comes this magical dance, doesn't it?
Yes. So leading on from that tip, do you have any business mentors? Are there any women entrepreneurs who inspire you?
Yeah, I thought about this, and there's 3 people I can think of. Have you ever heard of Mary Morrissey before, Holly?
No, I haven't.
She does. She used to be a minister, I believe, but she's great for stuff about law of attraction.
Oh, okay.
Because the way she teaches is all through story. I think that's just, it's so efficient, you know, for you to learn things, but it's a really great to learn yourself and how maybe you could explain certain topics. So I love her because she really does still talk about you can create anything you want, and it starts with thoughts. And then Denise Duffield-Thomas, I think you had her as a guest before, haven't you?
Yep, definitely love Denise.
She's so cool. Because, and I think the thing I love about Denise is that, she's so down to earth, but she also really flies the flag for you can have your business however you want it to be.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be super high-end luxe. It doesn't, you can have, you don't even have to see clients if you don't want to. And I think that just, it's okay to be wherever you want to be on the spectrum. She's amazing. And then it's she's not so much a businesswoman, but the author Liz Gilbert. Do you know her?
Oh yes, definitely.
Oh, isn't she divine?
Yes.
And I think the reason I love her, obviously she's a beautifully articulate woman, which just turns me on, But it's more that she was talking about in her recent book, Big Magic, about you've got to learn to love the shit sandwich that comes along with the thing that you love. It's so easy, I think, to think that you're going to start a business that's going to be nothing but roses, but there is going to be an equal amount of challenges, and those are, they come along with it, right?
Yes. I think that's very, very important to say, because I think it's so easy to glamorize the entrepreneurial lifestyle because it's fantastic, but it's not always easy. And often you don't see the shit sandwich online. You see all the good stuff. You see the, beautiful things, the lifestyle, the exciting things, but not everyone shares the shit that comes along with it. So I think that's such a great point to make.
They don't see you bashing your head on your computer screen trying to figure out MailChimp, do they?
No, they don't.
No, exactly. Yeah. So just a nice, well-rounded view, I think, of what it's really like. But I think more than anything, you can do it, and it's tend to your mindset. It's the engine that drives everything. Mm-hmm. When you feel like you've got your confidence up and those blocks are maybe less sort of snaggy, then seek towards strategy and just take care of yourself. I think you're on the right path. It's a journey. Just hang on.
Yeah. Totally a journey.
Ride the wild donkey, isn't it?
Yeah. So, Amy, how can other women entrepreneurs work with you? What are the options they've got?
Yeah, well, I run a program that's called the Book Solid System, which does what it says on the tin. It's designed especially for coaches and consultants who want to lead the pack and make bank online. So that encompasses everything to do with sales funnels and launching and selling out your signature programs, whether that be online or one-on-one. So you can find that over at thebooksolidSystem.com.
Okay, great. And is that, how many weeks does that last? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a 3-month program. And I offer like 3 group training calls per week. So there's tons of interaction between me and you. And, I help people to tweak and edit their copy, and it's really very interactive. So yeah, it's a 3-month program. It runs all the time. It's an evergreen program. So come and find me over at booksolidsystem.com and let's have a chat and see if this is a good fit. Excellent.
And before we go, also wanted to call attention to your opt-in. So you've got a really, really juicy opt-in on 24 ways to beckon your ideal clients and get booked solid.
Yeah, it came about because it's tricky, isn't it? You can think, well, where else should I get clients from? So that was just a big, good list of great ways that you can get in front of the right people.
Yeah, excellent. Great. So, Amy, where can people find you online?
I am over at irunthisship.com. Or on Facebook, it's facebook.com/irunthisship. And Instagram, same thing, /irunthisship.
Perfect. Excellent. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That was excellent tips on how to take your business to that 5-figure a month level.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Holly.
Thanks. And thank you for listening. And remember to visit readytobloom.com/128 for the show notes on this episode. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Ready to Bloom podcast with your host, Holly Wharton. You can find more information about today's guests, including links for topics that were discussed at readytobloom.com. That's ready, 2, bloom.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to head over to iTunes and leave us a quick review of this podcast. Thank you so much.